Good morning and welcome to this week's tarot reading. Today we are going to be continuing our dive into, you know, creating different spreads around a theme or a system that has meaning for you. This month I decided that I was going to build all of the spreads around the chakras, and there's many, many ways that we can work with the chakras. I will put a link in the bottom description to the two previous chakra videos that I have done, and you can freely explore them and see how that can help you be inspired to create your own, or if you're listening to the reading to gain clarity on something that's blocked or stuck or ready to be opened up. And on that note, that is actually what this spread this week is going to be all about. It's about trying to identify and clear out the blocks that we have in our energetic system. And I've decided to kind of basically build it on the chakras, and each chakra kind of has a different layer of the etheric field that it rules over, so to speak. And that's what we're going to be looking at, is what artifacts might be stuck in our etheric field, what energies might be just kind of gumming up the system, blocking up the system. Most of the time, there's something that's there in everyone. It's very, very rare that you will have a chakra that is completely open, completely gummed up, completely free of anything. And the reason for that is they kind of work as a cog system, right? So one spins, spinning the other, spinning the other. So if there is any kind of, especially gumminess in any of the chakras, eventually it might be very faint and very thin when it gets to one that's more in tuned and aligned. However, it's still going to have some level of gumminess until the whole system is cleared out, which I would love to meet someone who has an entirely ungummy um, chakra system, because with the way the world is, we could use a lot more of them. All right. As I was shuffling, that card popped out, so we're going to see what that means later on. Now, this week, the intention that I have is to highlight, as I was saying, current blocks to our chakra energy. So that's the focus that we're going to have. The question that I'm shuffling into the cards right now is, what is a block to our energy that is ready to be cleared? Because if we try to clear something before it's ready, all we get is more gumminess. We just get more problems. And so I think it's really important that we preface that we're working with our system. And so the system is going to bring forward to us what it's ready to clear, and we will greet that with love and be able to, hold space for it while the body clears. Now, remember that when we're clearing things, there may be some discomfort, there may be some old emotions, old stories, old things that pop up. Just drink a lot of water and allow yourself to be present for it. Again, like last week, I have just kind of created a basic uh, containment question for each of the cards. There will be 7 cards, but we do have the jumper, so there will be 8 today. And the containment question that I have is, what is ready to be cleared from? And then each card will basically be for the chakra that it represents. So what is a block to our energy that is ready to be cleared? Okay, and then we'll cut the cards. And we shall lay 7 cards out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm going to put this one somewhere I can see it, because I have a tendency to forget. I get so excited about everything that I forget the cards that jump out. All right. So what is ready to be cleared from the root chakra? And the root chakra is about our safety. It's about our survival. And so we do tend to carry a lot here, especially if we've had a lot of trauma, a lot of crisis, a lot of times and places, relationships where we did not feel safe. And so the first card that we have here is, we've got the Sun. And so the Sun, as a major arcana card, is coming in to say, there's a lot of different things that are based on us, right? The Sun highlights things. It brings the self into um, pure light and spotlighting, as I said, as to what is going on. And so when we're looking at energy around where safety was involved, we're now being able to release old stories, old traumas, and these are going to be big things that we're releasing from the root systems because this is a major arcana card. And so it's going to be things about ourselves. These are going to be moments where we were told we weren't right, where there was something wrong with us, where for, you're looking at worst case scenario, like if you were in an abusive relationship that led you to believe there was something wrong with you, that led you to create stories around being unsafe with other people. This is the time that the system is ready to start to release these stories, to release these patterns. Um, and so one of the best ways to do that is to look at where you are now and how you express yourself now and how you are now, and to see how that can release. We're not going to override, we're not going to rewrite. We're going to release these older stories with love so that if you are in a place now where you can make decisions and you can trust that your decisions are good, then you can start to release the stories that you've been carrying, that you keep playing, that you don't know how to make a good decision, that anything that you make a decision about yourself without getting advice from other people is going to be wrong. Right? These are the things we want to be able to feel very, very safe in who we are. So when we're looking at the root theme and we're looking at the sun theme, we're looking at we are now ready to release big life altering stories that we've carried that have told us that we are not safe to be ourselves, that we are not safe to be within ourselves, and that we have to play something else. We have to be someone else. And so this, I think, is I'm getting the feeling this is where the biggest bulk of the work is going to be done because this is going to be releasing some really long held stories that we really need to trust in. What is ready to be released from the sacral? Now, this is creativity, this is life force energy. And it's interesting that whatever the card's going to be, that it's coming, like obviously it's coming after the root, but what's going to be interesting is to see how it plays into if we're not safe, right? So if we're not feeling safe to be ourselves, to have the spotlight on us, to accept the praise and to accept, other people seeing us, then we would definitely be putting a tamper on our life force energy. We would definitely be playing very, very small and close to the heart when it comes to being creative. And so here we have the Three of Coins, which is what's ready to be released. And so when we're thinking about things that are being ready to be released, we're looking more at the painful side, the limiting side of the cards, which sometimes, it's when people use reversals. But I tend to just, especially with this deck is designed to be read upright. And so I use the kind of the flavoring of the question to see which side of the card that we're looking at. And so what we're looking at releasing at this point are any, you know, groups that we are currently part of or that we have recently been part of, right? Because we're also looking at artifacts that we're trying to release from our system. And so maybe we were part of a group, and these are physical groups, right? These are not necessarily about emotional connections or inspired connections and stuff like that. These are physical groups. Now they can be Zoom groups. They can because we do have a lot of online connections that we make these days. But this is, there's something about a group that you were in or you're in that has been stifling your creativity, right? Like you'll say, oh, you're in a group, you're talking to the people and you're going, I have this idea of something I'd like to do. And they might say something. And then that automatically shuts down the creative flow because they might question you in a way that makes you feel stupid, might question you in a way that makes you feel like what your idea is, it's wrong, it's out of alignment. Or there might just be people in the group that you just rub the wrong way or they rub you the wrong way. And so there's this idea that when we're in a group, right, we have to stay. If we've chosen to join a group, we have to stay. And so the Three of Coins is coming up to say, you know what, your life force energy is being sucked out by being part of a group that is, physically draining you, right? Like you're not grounded in this group, you're not centered in this group. And so it's really important for you to look at what can be released in this aspect. And especially, like I said, coming off of the sun, right, where the sun is saying, we've spent so long hiding and now the sun is coming and shining its spotlight on the areas of ourselves that we need to really start to accept and own. And this is one of them. We need to own that it's okay to leave a group if it starts to limit us, if it starts to question us, if it starts to, like, if we go into a group as a rolling stone, and by, midpoint in the group, we've become a sedentary rock that's got moss grown on it. That's a really good image, a really good indication that this is something that needs to be released. And remember, some of these are just artifacts. These are just things that we're carrying around in our system. They might already have in the physical 3D present moment be gone, but the energetics of it are still sitting there. And so we need to make space in order to be able to process it, hold it, name it, acknowledge it, and then let it go so that that energy can be freed up in our system so that we can move into something else, especially when we're looking at safety and life force energy, right? Like if we've got gumminess there, then even if we're in a place that's safe, we're not going to feel safe because there's that residual gumminess there. We're not going to feel like we have access to all of our energy because it's being used somewhere else to process something in the system that's no longer relevant, that's no longer existing. So then the next one is, what is ready to be cleared from the solar plexus, our source of identity and our authenticity? And here, interestingly enough, we have another three. This is the three of like collective groups. Whereas this is like physical kind of working groups. This could be your actual workplace environment. It could be anything that's involving like doing something, right? So if you are part of a cooking class, or if you're part of any kind of thing where you're doing things as you're working with other people. It could be apprenticeships, it could be anything like that. This is groups of the heart. And so it makes a lot of sense that you're involved, if you're involved in groups that, already are stifling your creativity, are already stifling your life force energy, then you're not going to really trust to be authentic in those groups. And so this is a lot about being true to the heart of the matter, right? And so for our solar plexus, for us to be authentic, for us to be who we are, we need to be in the groups that really help us to be. So there's I think, there's some group trauma that might still be lingering, and it can even go back to, family of origin where something was said that hurt, right? So if you think about it, this is looking at specifically what you can do, what you can build, what your skills are. This is about feelings. This is about you feeling hurt, you feeling unloved, right? So there's a definite different energy. And so this is something that this has kind of attacked you right at the heart of who you are. And so you feel as if you have to pretend, as if you have to transform into whatever the group wants you to be, and that you can't be you and be loved and be accepted. And of course, we're going back here to the root where, you need to start to look at releasing those stories that are keeping you from being who you are. What is ready to be cleared from the heart? This is our place of self-love and compassion. And here we have judgment. And this one, again, like we've got some pretty heavy hitters here. We've got the sun that is putting the spotlight directly on us right now. So everything that we're doing, because it's at the root, it's at the very beginning of the journey, everything is about us. It's about releasing whatever is keeping us from being who we are. And here's the next one that's a big heavy hitter at the heart. And this is judgment, right? Like this is that universal call to say, hey, you are here for a purpose. You are here to be loving. You're here to be compassionate and first and foremost to yourself. And so there are things that maybe you want to do. Maybe there's a desire of something that you want to build, something you want to create, somewhere you want to go. And because, you've been hiding in shadows, because you've been maybe conditioned by different groups on how to be normal. Or maybe you've been told that there's something wrong with you unless you act in a certain way. You've ignored that. You've turned away from it. You've kept yourself from being able to really fully embody that and to be there. And so now we need to start to unshackle ourselves so that we can be who we're meant to be, and really allow the heart to open. And when you look at this, I want you to pause for a moment, and I want you to look at this card, and I want you to see if you feel tightening in your chest, or if you feel a opening in your chest, because that opening and that breathing is the understanding that it's okay now to release whatever it is in the heart, whatever it is that you've been telling yourself that's keeping you from following that heart pull. What is ready to be cleared from the throat, our source of truth and how we express ourselves. And here we have the page of coins. And so what's ready to be released is all of the fear we have around accepting, presenting our truth and presenting ourselves in the real world, right? So the pages are the invitations. They are those youthful kind of inner child moments of wanting to get out there and to explore and to get messy and to get dirty. And so what we're looking to release now is all of the worries that we've had around accepting that invitation and coming, it's interesting, coming right after judgment, which is an invitation, is a cosmic invitation to step into who you are. And so the only way you can do that is to release the things that are keeping you. And then when we look at, moving from the heart of love and into self-expression, we're being invited to release all the things that are keeping us from trusting that what we have to say matters, that what we have to say will land and grow and is going to be a seed for something good to come into the world. What is ready to be cleared from the third eye? So now we have the High Priestess. And I think this is actually like one of the best cards that you can have in alignment with themes for the third eye, because the third eye is the place of vision and imagination. And the High Priestess, when you look at her as the oracle, as the gateway into the mystical arts, into the knowing beyond the knowing, into faith, into trust, all of that kind of stuff, right? And so what we need to really start to release are all of the locks, all of the blocks to our intuition. We need to step into that rich and beautiful, lush ecosystem of the third eye so that we can see a world beyond what exists. When we can really step into the energy of the High Priestess and really see the world beyond the world, then we can really start to embody that in the physical 3D world. Because whatever we can imagine, the bigger, the better that we can imagine things. And if we allow ourselves to imagine beyond limitations, beyond possibilities, then that means that we have that much more energy to bring things into the real world. And so what we need to block is, or what we need to release, the blocks that we need to release are the blocks around our ability to imagine beyond imagining and to be able to open to the visions that are coming and to stop from shutting them down to say that's crazy, right? The High Priestess lives beyond the that's crazy point. And I always like to kind of think of, there's a lot of seers in the history that have vision beyond what people will expect and get tossed down, right? And so I think that's also part of it, the wound of the seer, to be able to see what is beyond when you try to express it, especially if you're being invited to express it into the mundane kind of real world. A lot of people will deny it because a lot of people are afraid to hear what has to be said. And so it's very difficult. And then we can take that all the way down to the root card, right? Where, the sun is saying it's time for you. It's time for you. So it's time to release everything that's keeping you from being present, from being there. And I would say the last card, but we still have the jumper to deal with. But the last card of the chakras is what is ready to be cleared from the crown. And the crown is the place of faith and connection to beyond, right? Like the heart is about connection to other people, connection to ourselves. But the crown chakra is really that like universal connection. The collective unconscious lives here. And here we have the Nine of Swords. And this is the thing is, if you're like me, there's a lot of fear around even to a resentment point around like established religions and stuff like that. And I think we need to break that fear and really kind of put that understanding between structured religion and faith. And a lot of times when you look at the structured religions, they're there to in the harshest sense, they're there to control. They're there to tell you what's right. They're there to tell you how to be so that you can fit into their collective group. And when you think about that, in connection to spirituality, in connection to faith, right? Anyone who has faith believes wholeheartedly, without needing proof and anything like that, that there is something else out there. And that faith is carried across multiple denominations and everything. What ends up happening is that you have a denomination that you have some people that say, I disagree with what you're saying. That can't be true. Let's break off and create our own faith. And that's why I said it's about control, because if it was all the same thing, it would all be universal. But it all comes down to who wants to be able to have the say in what's right and what's wrong. Whereas faith, right? Like, so what we're being asked is to move beyond that. It is fine to have your religion and to follow your religion. It's We're being asked to move beyond that into an embodied feeling of connectedness, of faith, of knowing that whatever happens, that there's something there, someone there that's holding us, that's holding the whole container of the universe and saying, it's okay. And so we really need to look at where we're so afraid to let go and trust unconditionally into that connection. And this is what's ready to be released now, because I think we're reaching kind of a critical mass where belief systems and structures are going to kind of flip-flop. And so having faith to know that the path you're walking is heading you in the right direction, I think it's monumental. And the last card, our jumper, was the Knight of Swords. And so it's time to really take action and to really start to, cut the red tape, cut away from the false identities that we're making. I like to think of the Knight of Swords as like surgical laser precision of extraction, and that it's now time to really be able to cut the cords that are keeping you from your throat, from being able to express who you are, from from your sacral and your solar plexus to being able to live the life that you want as the person that you want to be. So I think that's very, very important. When I look at the cards, what I find interesting is we do have two swords because we have the jumper, but in the chakras themselves, we have one pentacle, which is all about community. We have one cup, again, about community. And then we have the pentacle, which is the invitation to step into the world. Sorry, we have two pentacles. That was my mistake. So we have two pentacles. What we have not is we have no wands in this, because we have, if I count the jumper, we have two swords. So we're looking at, right, like the things that we're looking at is we're looking at clearing away emotions that are ready to be released. We're looking at clearing away stories that are ready to be released, right? So the emotions here, the stories here. And then we're looking to rewrite patterns and to really kind of step into something that is a lot more in alignment with who we are. We are then also looking, this is a big one. Out of some of the more recent ones that I've done, this is the most major arcana cards that we've had. And these are all, like I said, these are all pretty big hitters, right? This is trusting in yourself and trusting that you can be guided without having to see the proof, accepting the call that is coming and really allowing this to be all about yourself. And I think that's the biggest message that we're going to get from this reading in particular, is that whatever is ready to be cleared, it has to be about you. It's not about, oh, I'm going to clear away this community because I don't like that person. It's about, I feel off in this community. I feel invisible in this community, or I feel attacked. Not attacked maybe so much with this one, but it's like I feel like I'm being erased, or I feel like I've been drifting out into to sea while I'm in this relationship, right? Like, so it's really about asking yourself and embodying what's coming up for you. So I hope that you like this reading. I hope something landed for you, that something struck and said, yes, I know this. I'm ready to clear this. And to just allow yourself to clear it naturally, to just drink a lot of water, to allow whatever comes up, to sit with it if you need to, and then to allow it to pass on. And, like the more you do that, the better, not the better, I would say the easier it will be. If you're fighting it, especially if you go, oh, yes, this is something that I've been aware of for a really long time and I haven't wanted to deal with it, right? Now's the time to deal with it, and to deal with it lovingly. And you'll find that as soon as you start to kind of sit with it, highlight it, right? Like, use that highlighting of the sun to highlight things. And as soon as you do that, you'll see they'll let go, they'll move on. So I hope you enjoyed this reading. I will put the links to the other chakra spreads in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you again next week for our next chakra spread. Take care.